Today, why is it that more of America's farmers have not yet turned on Trump? After all, he's cut farm.
Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of us, you guys are the real MVP.
So lovelies, I came across this video on my For You and I thought to share where farmers are still crying and having all emotional breakdown to the fact that this immigrant or undocumented people that was deported is having a very big effect in their farm products. Lovelies, I'm just going to roll the clip because so many people were like, why are they not passing all of the aggression to the person that actually caused all of those things, lovelies? I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of other stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. And the thing is that if these immigrants are taking these jobs, I don't really know why the farmers are not wanting to take back these jobs that is left by these immigrants who are probably deported. Anyways, let's dive into this.
Needed or wanted in the United States, clearly by all the ICE raids you're seeing. But what about this? I'm just wondering, because all the U.S. citizens were saying that immigrants are stealing U.S. jobs and that once all the immigrants are deported out of the country, that they're going to like reclaim the jobs that have been stolen by the immigrants. But I'm just still wondering, like, what's going on here? That's right, because immigrants and migrant workers have been deported on mass scale or detained illegally without due process. And you know what's happening? They're not going back to work. And so you've got farms that are completely void of any workers. Farms have actually collapsed after decades of being a provider of food for the United States. And I'm just wondering, how long until you realize that that Whopper you've been eating has a lot of stuff that you're going to need? And if these immigrants aren't here actually, doing all of the jobs that these Americans don't seem to want to go off and get off their couch and go do, then who's going to do them? Because all I know is that this is going on all across the country. And the United States is a farm country. Farming is one of the main things that the United States does. And if we don't have migrant workers actually working on the fields to do the work, then where's our food coming from, genius? Because apparently Timmy, Todd, and Tucker aren't getting out there and picking tomatoes or other produce off the trees and stuff like that. Because I know, hell, I'm outside right now and I'm sweating, 6 pounds of sweat right now. So can you imagine any U.S. citizens actually going out there? Because if they were, we wouldn't have this.
Let's be honest, it's racist to think that immigrants only work as pickers, but immigrants do also work as pickers. And what's amazing is I follow some of them right here on TikTok, and it's quite a life. There are amazing people, beautiful young girls just out here working, making money, doing their thing. However, our retarded country fell for this. Nebraska's filing for bankruptcy. Have you guys heard Nebraska's filing for bankruptcy? Nebraska is filing for bankruptcy because they supported Cheeto Mussolini, who supported deporting immigrants because they somehow thought this was going to get them free labor. It's bad enough y'all don't want to pay people a living wage, but you thought that you were going to get something that was cheap for free. Well, the immigrants were like, okay, if you guys support this and you're trying to get rid of us, then we're going to stop showing up to work for you. And now they don't have anybody to do their work. They don't have any money and they need a $500 million bailout. And that's where this question comes in because, MAGA, you do the jobs. You thought this was such a great idea to get rid of everybody. Go pick you some strawberries. Go work out on the cattle ranch. What are you waiting for? Go get a job. People don't want to work anymore. Go get you some money. The ICE isn't the only people hiring. You too can be a part of the great strawberry harvesting this season because strawberries are going bad on the vine. Y'all want to sit around and watch videos of people getting arrested while they are doing things like selling fruit and selling tacos, because let's be honest, we're not going after the criminals. They're not even going after people after dark. Mostly. This is like a daytime activity. This is a real low risk environment these people are trying to work in. But they're saying the economy is down. Y'all want jobs, you do it. You do it. Tell me how long you make it. Go find some of these content creators on here. Get up and go work out in these fields. Tell me how long you think you'll make it. Tell me if you think that you can compete with them for these jobs. You guys are losers. We as a country fell for the idea that hard-working people that come here to make a living for themselves were the threat and not the billionaires that are sitting around buying up islands. Zuckerberg buying 11 houses at a time when minimum wage doesn't even pay for a 1-bedroom apartment. Y'all think they took your jobs? Then you go do it.
Play the clip.
Of finding some way to get farm workforce and service sector workforce. And I think you've discussed somehow a program of people leaving on a sponsorship and coming right back. Can you give us a little more detail about that and why, in the view of some hardliners, it's not ending?
Take care of our farmers and hotel workers and various other people, and we're working on it right now, and Ron's going to be involved, and you're involved already. So we have a lot of cases where ICE will go onto a farm, and these are guys working there for 10, 15 years, no problem. The farmers know them. We're going to put it's called farmer responsibility or owner responsibility, where they're going to be largely responsible for these people. And they know these people. They've worked on the farms for 15 years, and all of a sudden so I have a great, Ron does, Christy does, we have a great feeling for the farmer and for others in the same position. And we're going to give them responsibility for people. And we're going to have a system of signing them up so they don't have to go. They can be here legally. They can pay taxes and everything. They're not getting citizenship, but they get other things. And the farmers need them to do the work. Without those people, you're not going to be able to run your farm.
Basically what he's saying is he wants to be able to exploit immigrants for cheaper labor. And because the farmers have been calling him and complaining, then this is just going to echo into the construction sector and so forth.
Well, hotels.
And so on. And he'll make a caveat for whatever rich billionaire has donated to him, kisses his ass, and calls and makes a complaint. Hey, you just deported my crew. He'll reverse it on a case-by-case basis because he doesn't give a shit about any of this stuff. And this mass deportation is the wet dream of Stephen Miller.
And one thing I think it's dangerous if we don't point it out. He said farmer responsibility, and then he said farmer ownership.
Oh, I missed that, Pump.
He said responsibility, and then he said ownership. So this is remnant of slavery. Your boss owns you. So now they have control over you. This is nothing short of slavery, in my opinion.
Pumps, I missed that entirely. That is such a good catch on your point, and I think you're exactly right. And that is so devastating to hear.
Devastating.
Play the clip.
Of finding some way to get farm workforce and service sector.
Donald Trump, don't backpedal now. Now you're saying or acting like you're regretting or that it was a mistake that you did this mass deportation, although you set it in place and this was planned and thought out way before your presidency when y'all were concocting up this Project 2025. You had plenty of time to think about the consequences this was going to have, and you still proceeded with it. So now you're just realizing that all immigrants aren't criminals. Now you want to realize that they are actually hardworking people that have been working on these farms for over 20 years and just want to make an honest living for their family. Now you want to realize that now you have shipped all these hardworking immigrants off to their native land, that us Americans are not going to want to work in these fields for the prices that they are paying these immigrants. Now you're seeing that the farmers are suffering because of your dumb ass decisions. And it's sad because your blatant racism wouldn't allow you to actually delve into how agriculture works and how important the immigrants are when it comes to farming. And now you want to sit on a podium saying something needs to be done and that we have to use our common sense. Don't get French with us now. We ain't got to do nothing because I did not vote for you. I did not do this. So you need to fix this since they, the MAGA people, voted for you.
Someone asked me the other day, why is it that more of America's farmers have not yet turned on Trump? After all, he's cut farm-to-table programs, he's cut farm-to-school lunch programs, he's cut all kinds of funding for, structural improvements, drainage, climate resilience programs. He's cut all kinds of grant funding for farmers all across this country. He's cut USAID that has cost America's farmers billions. Ask farmers in Nebraska how they're doing right now. We are seeing silos full of corn and wheat and sorghum that go unsold. The United States government had promised to buy these crops, and then they pulled the contracts because Elon Musk gutted USAID. And all of this food, not just grains, but also milk that is turned into powdered milk that was meant to go and secure our interests abroad and feed hungry people, is now sitting unsold in the United States of America, and that is hurting our farmers. Why are more of them not pissed off? And somebody else said, well, why are more farmers not freaking out that all of their migrant labor is being snatched by ICE? We are seeing ICE running into farm fields, snatching migrants who are toiling, picking our food, the food to feed the American people. They are coming in and tackling and snatching these folks, abducting them, and stuffing them into detention facilities where billions of our taxpayer money is going to keep these people imprisoned. And someone in my comments who was from the Midwest said, oh, don't you understand, in a lot of these states, especially a lot of the grain farmers and dairy farmers, they don't actually use that much immigrant labor. If they have very mechanized, agricultural setups on their farms, then they're not really interfacing that much with migrant labor. And yes, I totally understand for those folks who are growing large amounts of soybeans and grains, that makes sense. If you don't have to interact with brown people on a regular basis, you can dehumanize them more easily. You can justify what Trump is doing more easily. But there are farmers all around the country that rely heavily, heavily on migrant labor, especially where I am on the West Coast. And they are about to feel the hurt real bad. It's starting to be that time of year where more and more crops need to be picked. And while it was an issue earlier in the year, like in Florida and Southern California, we saw a little bit of farm laborers who didn't want to show up to pick strawberries and broccoli and citrus because they were worried about ICE. Well, now we are seeing the Republicans in Congress. Republicans are now the fascist party of this country, right? They are fully consolidated as a fascist party. They have now agreed to take billions of our tax dollars and expand ICE tenfold. The Republicans in Congress have now given Donald Trump $150 billion of our hard-earned tax money to create his own massive secret police force, his own Gestapo that will be terrorizing communities all over the country. There's $150 billion for raids, but $0 for Medicaid. Do not forget that Republicans did that. Republicans did that to all of us. And so now we are seeing a tenfold increase in the completely rational fear of our hardworking migrant farm workers who feed this nation. And guess what? Farmers all around the country, right at a time when cherries and soon plums and peaches and all kinds of other crops around the country are coming ripe, crops that by and large need to be picked and sorted by hand. There's a massive farm labor shortage because workers are terrified that they are going to be snatched off the job, that while they are working, someone will snatch them out of the field and they will never see their families again. I'd like to point you to a piece from Spokane Public Radio from last week. It's called "Fear of ICE Causes Labor Shortage for Washington Cherry Growers." We've had 200 years of migrant farm workers in this country traveling from Mexico up the West Coast, following the picking season to harvest our food. Now, we've also had 200 years of abusing those farm workers, exploiting them, refusing to pay them a living wage or giving them safe work conditions. Yes, one of the things I've said previously is that I hope at the end of all of this, one of the things that comes out of this is that we understand the people who pick our food, they deserve dignity, they deserve a living wage, they deserve safe working conditions. They also deserve justice, and the people who are doing this to them deserve accountability. What we're seeing is a lot of the stone fruit pickers up here in Oregon and Washington, they come up from California and they are afraid to make that drive. They are afraid that there will be checkpoints where they will get abducted. They are afraid once they get here that they will be abducted by ICE. And so they're hiding. I can only imagine what kind of food insecurity that creates for their families. So the Spokane Public Radio piece talks about how the cherry picking labor shortage in Washington state is reaching a crisis point. They interview a woman named Rosa Hernandez who is picking cherries at an orchard in Wenatchee. She was one of the few who was willing to make the drive from California to Washington to pick this year. She did so because she's an American citizen. But she said even though she is a U.S. citizen, she was terrified to make the drive because she's a brown person. We are seeing ICE doesn't give a shit about your citizenship. If you look like you could potentially be an immigrant or have immigrant ancestry, if you happen to have any kind of an accent, if you speak Spanish, they don't care, they will snatch you. And there's no oversight for you. There's no protection for you right now. She talks about how she did the long drive up to Washington state and she was afraid to pull over at rest stops to go pee because they have heard that ICE agents are waiting at rest stops. They're waiting at gas stations to snatch people. One of the farmers that they interviewed said that he's really terrified they can't get people to pick their cherries and that impacts the financing of their farm. So when you couple the fact that fruit is rotting on the tree with the cuts in grant programs and the volatile economic circumstances in the United States, he's worried that what we're going to see is by next year, more and more farms will be going under. Even Fox News for Seattle, even Fox News is covering this story, saying the growers are not just worried about cherries. They are worried that these labor shortages will extend to apples, grapes, and many other fruits that are grown in Washington state, also grown here in Oregon. Fox News called immigrant farm workers essential to our agricultural system. They said growers across central Washington say fears of immigration enforcement and potential ICE raids are keeping workers away from the field and are currently threatening to leave millions and millions of dollars worth of cherries unpicked, rotting on the trees. The Fox News story went on to interview migrants who said they are scared to show up and that the fear will compound. It will get worse and worse as ICE escalates. And then interestingly enough, there's a whole section in this article for Fox News readers that is called Why You Should Care. Not surprisingly, maybe. It doesn't say you should care because what is being done to our immigrant farm workers is inhumane, it's cruel, it's illegal, it's terrible, it's an ethnic cleansing in the United States. No. Why you should care, Fox News reader, is because Washington state is the nation's top producer of sweet cherries. And if the fruit is not being picked, that means that there is going to be a shortage and prices are going to go up. Even a delay, even if there's just a delay in picking, fruit is rotting on the tree. Fruit is an ephemeral crop, y'all. Fruit can't just sit there hanging out. You have to pick it when it's ripe. And so any delay, any, shortage of labor for any period of time is immediately lost revenue. Now, this piece came out right before the big bloated budget bill got passed by Republicans in Congress. And, the Fox News take is hopefully lawmakers will consider the long-term economic impact of the agricultural labor force and even revisit immigration reform. I don't know how to make Republicans care about immigrants. I don't know how to make them have compassion and a conscience. I don't know how to make them be moved by the suffering that is being inflicted by our government right now. I don't know how to make them care about anything but their own pocket, their own personal suffering, their own negative experiences. And you could say at some point there's going to be such a severe shortage of labor on our farms that people are going to go hungry. It's going to impact the economy. And then folks will start to care. They will want things like immigration reform. I hope so. But also I am quite worried that this massive expansion of ICE abductions to 3,000 people a day, 3,000 non-criminals a day that are being stuffed into these concentration camps, that those will become forced labor camps. We've already seen Trump say that multiple times, that people in detention camps could be lent back to the farmers. But as of right now, it looks like there is going to be a shortage of all kinds of crops that are coming ripe over the next several weeks. It looks like there's going to be a shortage of what is available in the stores. There will be increased prices. Until we stop it, there will be increasing food shortages. Until we stop it, there will be increasing human rights violations. Until we stop it, there will be hundreds of billions of our tax dollars being used to inflict suffering. to fund the American Gestapo, not only terrorizing our country, but weakening our food supply and our entire nation.
Like, seriously, please, anytime I come across these videos like farmers, undocumented immigrants, it just, put me back to before the election, how these people came out to massively support whatsoever thing that is going on right now, especially these farmers from Nebraska. The way they were crying all over the social media that immigrants are taking all of their job. They can't wait to get these immigrants deported. And now that this said immigrant has left this job, they don't want to do this job. They are still crying of going bankrupt. I thought that when you are always crying that somebody is taking your position, taking your job, and eventually this person decided to leave this job for you, the next thing you have to do as someone that is so serious is to go ahead and take back your job. But all I see is so many, farmers losing their farm, their crops. Nobody's there to pick up the crops. The crops have been getting rotten. Like, so many people even have to put some adverts to get people to come work on these jobs, and nobody is willing to go do these jobs. That means this immigrant or documented immigrant were actually doing a job that nobody want to do. And now, because of all of the things going on, I think this must probably, give rooms for food and services to go as high as possible. Because if people are not doing this job, the people who probably were crying that immigrants were taking this job, if they were not doing this job and these fruits, farm products are getting rotten, it's going to make food supply to be so scarce. And there again, it's also going to give room for high rate of food supplies and expensive food supplies, because these foods are getting rotten somewhere. Nobody is doing this job. That means immigrants are actually doing the job that nobody wants. Because when I saw these commentaries, I try as much as I can to go read the commentaries, and people were like, there are some certain amount of money that they can probably receive or get paid in order to do these jobs. Nobody want to do something so strenuous like that and receive a penny. And you yourself, you saw that somebody was doing this, receiving a penny, that you were actually paying this person, but you decided that you were going to go vote against your interest. You decided that you were going to vote against this person that was so willingly to do this job. I saw some clip or some stitches where some people were like, this immigrant has to wake up before every other person to go pick all of this palm fruit. They have to wake up before every other person. While people are sleeping, they are working. And at the end of the day, they are being given pennies. And you, as a business owner, as a farm owner, you thought that, oh, let me just vote and get these people out. These people that has been giving me. Sometimes I just ask myself, is it that these guys do not know what they call business strategy? You are voting against your own business, and you thought that you were doing someone a favor, but you refuse to think about your own self. That's why when somebody said that racism is expensive, I totally agree with that person. Because out of racism, you forgot that you were also going to put yourself first. Then when you probably don't put your own first and these people got deported, now you're realizing that, oh, I've effed around for myself. Your business is being affected because of your choices. And now this man is now having all emotional breakdown and trying to get this immigrant back, then in the essence making the farm owners to own the immigrant, to own the workers. That means you as a farm or as an immigrant or people who works on these farms, you are allowed to work, right? You will be paid a penny, but you are also going to be owned by these farm owners. What does this tell you? This tells you that these guys are indirectly or directly trying to bring this modern day slavery. Like, this system is just, I don't even know where to stand anymore. They're just trying it, their possible best to make things very difficult for people. Anyway, lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So, lovelies, if you've not subscribed, do your girl a huge favor to click on the subscription button, like, share, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.
So now just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So lovelies, why not just leave me your own thoughts, subscribe, and I will see you, lovelies, when I upload the next one.